If you want to change the world for the better, there's no better place to start than with today's generation of emerging leaders. And if you really want to change the world, you better do it on a global basis. That's the idea of One Young World, a global forum for young people that connects the best and the brightest and puts their views in front of government, business, and other leaders. Their 2011 forum is coming up in Zurich in September. Co-founder Kate Robertson is here in our region to raise awareness. She's chairman of the Euro RSCG Group and has worked in the advertising industry for 26 years. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you
welcome to Pittsburgh.
Yes, thank you. My first time.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Hopefully we made a good first impression.
Yes, you did. You absolutely did. Blown away.
Good. Well, I want to come back to why Pittsburgh in particular, but first, for people who don't know One Young World, they probably shouldn't feel too badly about it. It has not been around for that long.
No, it hasn't. The summit in 2011 in Zurich in September will only be the second summit, so we're only just into the second year.
Okay, so where did it come from in the first place?
My boss, our global CEO at Havas, has a very strong view that if you're going to consult in any way for corporations on corporate social responsibility, you should have your own corporate social responsibility program and platform. He believes that we have to be authentic and be transparent, so this is part of our effort. But also, I think by dint of looking at the conferences that people like you and I might go to, you would ask the question of what we solve when we're at those conferences. And sometimes it's not such a lot. And we thought if you asked young people what they thought of the problems facing mankind, young people could tell you what ought to be done and leave people like you and me and the incumbent leadership to get on and sort it out.
Okay, very, very cool idea. So how's it shaking out in the real world now that you've got one conference under your belt and another one coming up?
Well, the thing that is really exciting about it is at the first conference they had people counseling them like Kofi Annan, Desmond Tutu, Bob Geldof, Mohammed Yunus.
Wow, real global heavy hitters.
Yeah, former President Toledo, former President of Peru. I mean, really, really heavy hitters. Which it would seem inspired these young people, because the real miracle of One Young World is what they did when they left the conference. Just a quick example,
Sure.
A Russian, a Nigerian and a South African created the missing Millennium Development Goal for interfaith tolerance, interfaith dialogue, big issue for the world. There are no Millennium Development Goals that address that. And eventually they presented it at the United Nations at the invitation of Secretary General Ban Ki-moon himself. I don't know about you. I've never been invited to the United Nations, leave alone into the chamber to present my own resolution. These people are 24 years old.
I was going to ask you, how old are the young people we're talking about who did that?
The guidance for the summit is 25 and under, but we've got a 20-year-old African delegate who persuaded the African Union to fund a summit of African student leaders. They've had their first one in September. 11 countries were represented there. They've got funding for 10 years. And when you think what student leadership gives the world, your own Barack Obama was a student leader. This is Africa's first student leader conference. These are really important children. Africa's only deficit is her leadership. It's not her mineral wealth or anything else. The only problem is leadership. And here they come.
So you had these young leaders, clearly very promising, clearly very high potential. Something, though, about putting them in the same room or at the same conference together that really galvanizes this kind of activity?
I think that it does. You can inspire them when they're physically together, or rather they inspire one another. But then they have the social networks to float on.
I didn't think about social network platforms and the technology. All of a sudden, participating in a conference like this and then activating it becomes much more feasible than it would have been 5 years ago. Absolutely
a changed world. And one of the counselors that we have coming this year, one of them, and we have Geldof and Yunus are coming back again, is a young guy called Wael Ghunim, who was the Google executive who used the might of Google to spread out and support, create, if you like, the revolution in Egypt.
Sure. Now, what brought you to Pittsburgh in particular?
Our global CEO, David Jones, who's the co-founder of One Young World, had said to me that he thought we should do some work in the United States, and that we had an absolutely fantastic office here in Pittsburgh, and that given your G20 status, this was something we should look at. And I've just had a talk with some of your colleagues of various leadership bodies of Pittsburgh. And I have to say, I am so impressed. I don't think there's a world city I've been in where I have seen such a focused, business-like bunch of people helping each other out, as I said to you before, finishing each other's sentences, but also so passionate about this city.
Well, that's great. So your hope, what, is that Pittsburgh will send a delegation to Zurich of our best and brightest young people?
I'm looking for absolutely that, because if you guys are that good, then you certainly know young people who are as good as you are. So I'm looking for that, and I gather from your colleagues they are very keen to bid for 2012. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe bring the whole shindig here. Even more exciting. Well, this is really cool.
Really exciting.
One Young World. You can find it. Google it. Google it on the World Wide Web, and lots of information there. Kate Robertson, thanks so much. Appreciate
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. And we'll be back in a minute with more of our Region's Business. Stay with us.